Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about the Senate race in Nebraska. Very recently, we actually got a poll from Survey USA, which is really the main reason why I'm doing this video, showing Dan Osborn actually winning or having a lead over Deb Fischer, the incumbent. And if you look right here, or in the poll in my community post, as I always said before, it only has Trump winning by 16%. And Harris winning here by 15% the 2nd district, which is interesting. But back to the Senate race in Nebraska. And don't get it confused with the special race because, yeah, there's two races going on right now. But this is the main one and the most interesting one by far because no Democrat nominee, as many of you know. Here's the latest poll. As you see from Survey USA, there's still 11% undecided. And I think that most of these voters will just vote for Trump and the Republican down the ballot. Still, though, that is a very good point for Dan Osborn to be at right now, if that is true. But yeah, most prediction pollsters have this as solid R. Very likely R is by this one. I've never seen that before. He's doing quite good in fundraising, and he does have a good populist appeal, so that maybe could help him with getting some Trump supporters on his side and maybe having a lot of Trump and Osborn voters this November. Think him calling out Deb Fischer for her not biting to her promise of not retiring after a second term like she says she would will help him, but yeah, we will see what happens. 538 right here, yep, right here in Nebraska shows him actually in the estimate only has him by losing by 4.6%, which is very interesting. But if you actually see right here, he does sponsor quite a lot of the ads, or I should say the polls. So, for example, this Red Wave strategy, Dan Osborn campaign sponsored. This one was actually sponsored by Deb Fischer, so kind of like an insider poll. This one, also from YouGov, interestingly enough, was sponsored by Dan Osborn. And this one was sponsored by likely anti-Deb Fischer allies, or Deb Fischer haters, whatever. And this latest one that has Osborn up by one, yep. I think it said up by one. Yep. Actually has them as the sponsor, which tells you that maybe it's not as close as they look to be. I think Democrats are at a point right now that they do want to expand the Senate map into other states. I think if we just go back for a second here. In the meantime, here's Polymarket and the Nebraska Senate race. Betting pool has the GOP only winning they only have an 80% chance of winning, while Osborn has a 16% chance, which is very interesting. Still, a long way to go. And back to the map, and as you can see, here's the current map that Democrats are facing against, and they need to get it to at least 50 Senate seats in order to have the Senate majority in 2024 afterwards. Right now, the main ones I'm noticing that they're trying to focus on are these ones right here. You could also put Ohio, but they at least need to win one of these in order to get majority, if assuming Harris wins. Let's say the GOP wins in Montana and they win in, let's say, Florida. That really only leaves out these two, in Florida most likely goes red. So if Democrats are able to somehow flip the Senate in Nebraska, that would give them a big shot at retaining the majority and perhaps even having a trifecta in Congress. But in my opinion, the main things that are likely to happen in the Senate race in Nebraska, we just go right here, is that the main possibility right now is that Deb Fischer wins here by 10 to 12%, and I see that's the main one right now. I don't think Dan Osborn's going to win here by any margins right now. The other second most likely possibility is that Fischer just wins here by a safe margin of like 15%. And I think the third likeliest option right now is that Dan Osborn does quite good, but still he loses here by 3 to 5%. Still, I think that Survey USA poll isn't to be trusted as much because it's a sponsor from him. But still, I do think he's doing better than what most people expected him to do. But yeah, the only way I see Dan Osborn being able to get this under 10% is really doing well in the 2nd district. And Harris winning here by, like, I don't know, like 15% like in that poll that we saw. Yeah, right here. And he also has to hold down in the rural areas by quite a margin, and Trump can really win here by a lot. So it's going to be tough for him to have a chance of winning this seat, but still, I recommend, keeping an eye on this seat and seeing what happens in November. As always, feel free to leave a like, join the channel membership. Thank you for watching this newish style video, and have a good one.